Good evening, everyone. Today, for this session, we have with us author, academician, and a Gandhian, Mrs. Santosh Bakaya. Hello, ma'am. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Thank you so much. Good
Okay.
to see you.
So, today, our conversation for the day will obviously be based on Gandhiji and his work. Also, in what ways he was similar to civil rights activist Martin Luther King Jr. So, and ma'am will also read some passages from her book. She has written these two books. First is Ballad of Bapu. It is one of its own kind of work where she has described Mr. Gandhi's life in poems. And the other one is Martin Luther King Jr.'s biography, which whose title is Only in Darkness Can You See the Stars. It is obviously from his famous speech, I Have a Dream, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, yes, the first. So let's begin with how did you come up with the idea of these two books? First of all, the Ballad of Bapu, and why is it based on? Why does it have only poems?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. That's a wonderful question. And I have been answering this question so many
Since
times.
morning. Oh, I was going to say since morning, since
5 years.
oh my God, for 5 years, yes.
The Ballad of Bapu was the result of a remark of one of my students in my MPhil class. He prided himself on being a poet. And
Okay.
one day I was teaching them something about Gandhi. He suddenly got up and said, Madam, Gandhi ke din lad gaye. And the way he took his name and the way, and he used a particular adjective, which I'll not use here, but that, raised my hackles and I left the class in a huff, he said. And then he came running after me saying, Madam, गांधी तो हमने बहुत पढ़ लिया लेकिन आप एक महाकाव्य लिखें आप महाकाव्य लिखें तब मैं पढ़ूंगा गांधी मैंने वैसे अभी पढ़ा नहीं है so this was the trigger and because I used to write limericks because I was very fond of writing limericks and
Yes.
I would write a limerick or so and they were funny but a limerick is meant to lampoon people but this was
Yes.
these limericks that I wrote they were not meant to lampoon Mahatma Gandhi but they were meant to popularize him to the youth because the youth did not know anything about Gandhi they hadn't read anything about
Yes.
Gandhi and they would say Madam Gandhi ko kya padna sab jante hain and they did not know anything. So because of this student, this so-called kavi, he called himself a kavi. Madam, मैं तो कवि हूँ. आप एक महाकाव्य लिखें. These were his exact words. So that got me thinking, and I went home straight away and I started writing limericks on Mahatma Gandhi. And but at that moment, I did not know that this would become such a huge book. But I I continued writing. I got hooked onto it, and this book happened. And let me add here that Renu called Varma. She was after me to finish it. In fact, and I still remember it. I was in a seminar and I received this call from Renu called Varma asking me, what about the book? I had, I have this knack of writing working on 6 manuscripts simultaneously. So I had forgotten about it. That was at the back
Oh my
burner.
God.
Writing something else. So then she pulled the trigger and I started writing and I completed it. So this is how it happened. And that was, the trigger was a boy in my MPhil class who said, Gandhi ji ke din lad gaye, aap ek mahakavya likhiye. So that is how it happened.
And how's that guy doing today? How's that guy doing today?
And then the first copy of that book, I presented to that guy. He was, and now let me tell you that he's a lecturer. He teaches Gandhian studies and he's a
Hmm.
diehard fan of and
Oh my God.
he has been trying to translate it into Hindi, but so far he has not managed. He could complete only a few chapters, but he's still working on it. So
We
that
would
was
definitely like to have the Hindi version of this book.
yeah.
Yes, it will
And
cater to many youth, right?
yeah,
And now, yes, ma'am, you say.
my a cousin of mine also tried to translate it into Hindi, but he couldn't complete it. So many people,
Okay.
I have been receiving offers from many people. They want to translate it into Gujarati, Marathi, Hindi, but nothing has materialized so far. And this
Right.
book is very close to my heart.
It seems so, ma'am. And what about your second book, the one on Martin Luther King Jr.? And what are the similarities? You have often spoken about both of them, Gandhi and and King Jr., that they both were a similar kind of person.
Yeah, yeah.
So please tell us about that.
Martin Luther King was only 19 when
Right.
Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated,
That.
but he was
Yes.
very inspired, very, very influenced by Gandhi when he was studying in this. seminary, and one of his professors, not one of his professors, the professor from Howard University, Mordecai Johnson, he had been to
Okay.
India. He had come across Gandhi and Gandhi teachings and all. So when he came back to the States, he gave a lecture on Gandhi, and King happened to be there. He was so fascinated by this idea of non-violence, of Gandhi and all. So he went to the market and bought about 6 or 7 books on Gandhi, and he became a fan of Gandhi. That was the beginning. And then later on, when this Montgomery bus boycott, where Rosa Parks refused to vacate a seat for a white man, it sparked a revolution of sorts, a boycott. These buses were boycotted by the blacks. So that was the beginning, and it was this boycott was supposed to be only for one day, and it continued for 1 year.
Yes.
And during this time, there used to be many articles in newspapers where they continuously reiterated the fact that this Montgomery bus boycott was influenced by the man Gandhi from India.
Gandhi.
That was the
Oh.
beginning.
And just as we are speaking on Gandhi, I read that a statue of his has been vandalized in US. So there has been very polarization at a time like this. So what do you think? How important is this idea of peace and non-violence in the 21st century, especially when people are staging protest?
And peace can never go out of fashion. They can never be irrelevant. They'll always be there. कितने भी स्टैच्यूज उनकी आप जला दें, काट दें, कुछ, लेकिन वो गांधी जी हमेशा, because he stood for non-violence, he stood for peace, and he stood for forgiveness, he stood for truth, and they can never go out of fashion. Whatever the naysayers say, whatever the flipper exhibits say, Gandhi will live forever. So will his ideology of love and non-violence. This is what I firmly believe, and this is what I'm firmly convinced to, because I have seen people changing right before my eyes. The youth that I have addressed, they have changed right before my eyes. This, especially the student, he has written many articles on Gandhi in Hindi, and he says that Gandhi jaisa insan koi ho hi nahi sakta. So this is how people change if they read and if they're so involved. And he's also trying to change his the mindset of the students, because in the present scenario where violence has become the watchword of society, we need a man like Gandhi, we need a man like King. And I remember one line of Martin Luther King Jr., who had said, over the bleached bones and jumbled remains of civilizations are written the words too late, too late. Why wait for it to be too late? Why not begin now? The time is now to begin on a clean slate and think of peace and non-violence, because we cannot do without peace and non-violence in the present sad scenario. We'll need them all.
And speaking of the criticism of Mahatma Gandhi and King Jr., there are many points. One of them, the one that is circulated the most, is their relationship with women. That's what they are criticized for. Although here we are talking about his idea of peace and non-violence, yet Gandhi and his counterparts or others, they are criticized on their personal lives, like they had too many relationship with women. And what do you have to say about that, the
Well,
criticism basically?
let me reiterate again, because this is what I keep telling everyone. Gandhi was a pure soul. He was a pure soul, a pure pristine soul. And he did not have to hide anything from people. He was an open book. And whatever we know about him is through his writings. He was an open book. And whatever we know about his experiments is through his books, through his writings. So this should not make us forget his legacy of non-violence. Whatever he did, he was above all that. He was above all that. He was not just those experiments that he was conducting. And as he said many a time, that he was evolving. He was evolving every day. He was learning through his mistakes. So let us not put these people, these icons, these moral icons on pedestals. Let us look at them as the people. They, if you remember, Gandhi was, as a child, he was afraid of snakes. He was afraid of ghosts. He was afraid of multiplication tables. But that frail figure with a very unimpressive voice, he was able to rise above all that and become a moral icon. So we should remember that. And because we are addressing the youth, this is what the youth should know, that this moral icon rose above all those flaws, idiosyncrasies, and whims to become a moral colossus. And similar with the Martin Luther King Jr. And there are, there have been many recordings and tapes regarding his so-called whatever his relations with women. But there are rumors and innuendos also. So we should keep that apart from the legacy that they have left behind. These moral icons they have left behind. So this is what I would like. We should remember.
And yes, speaking of, sorry, ma'am, we cannot hear you. Can you repeat it again? The last sentence that you just said?
And besides that, there have been rumors and innuendos and mudslinging and allegations. So we should try to look at these people, because they are moral icons. We should look at these people as great moral icons who left behind a great legacy of peace and nonviolence. And they were human beings. They were human beings who became great through their ideology of nonviolence and peace.
Yes,
This is what.
the main point is that since they were human, they did have their flaws, right? And we should look at the positive side of that,
Many
not
of our
at their.
Mahatma, I feel very embarrassed. I feel very embarrassed. Don't call me a Mahatma, but we call him a Mahatma, and we put him on a pedestal. But we should remember that everyone has frailties, flaws, idiosyncrasies, whims. So we should not forget the legacy. I keep maintaining this. We should not forget the legacy that they left behind, especially for the youngsters.
Right. True. And how do we persuade our youngsters to read and learn a little more about him and his style of, dealing with difficult situations and things?
Well, Gandhi himself used to say that he is evolving every day. He's learning every day, and he was a great man, such a humble man, such an honest man, such a frank man. And I have conducted many workshops. I have spoken on many a forum, and I have recently, 2 years back, I had gone to Hyderabad, and there was an interactive session there, and we conducted many skits on Gandhi, and they learned quite a lot from those skits, yeah, from his life. And one of the students, he later on after the workshop, he came up to me and said, "Madam, we did not know all this, and because of these skits, we'll always remember what he stood for." So if these workshops are conducted, if these skits, role playing and everything are conducted for the students, they'll learn quite a lot. And this I consider a great achievement of mine, because through this book I have changed many a mindset of many a student who did not believe in Gandhi.